Hi, I'm Alyssa, your free range psychic. Today is May 30th, 2021, and it is Memorial Day weekend here in the United States. Today I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and do a past life study on Marjorie Taylor Greene as the possible reincarnation of Ilse Koch, who was an infamous Nazi in Buchenwald and a few other concentration camps where she was notorious for her heinous deeds. When my guides suggested to me that this was the reincarnation, that Marjorie Taylor Greene was the reincarnation of Ilse Koch, I was skeptical. Not that they are ever wrong, but I can always mishear information. And please, take this with a grain of salt. This is allegedly a reincarnation. But then I started comparing the photographs of the women, and I began to see a lot of similarities with the eyes, with the mouth, with their facial expressions. So here are a few facts about Marjorie Taylor Greene, born May 27th, 1974. According to Wikipedia, American politician, businesswoman, and far-right conspiracy theorist, serving currently as the U.S. representative for Georgia's 14th Congressional District, member of the Republican Party, staunch supporter of Donald Trump, as we know. And she is in your face, right? She is so controversial that she was very quickly kicked off her congressional committee assignments. She's currently on tour with Matt Gaetz for a fundraising tour. Both of them controversial figures. Marjorie Taylor Greene is someone who has like oppositional defiant disorder. If she is accused of something and she is asked to apologize, she's going to own it and she's going to double down on it. She's like the darling of the far right. She's known for her anti-Semitism, for her support of the big lie theory that Donald Trump actually won the election, and it's floated about that she potentially or possibly allegedly was one of the Congress people, as well as Matt Gaetz, who gave tours of the Capitol to far right wing extremists who then took part in the insurrection January 6th. So we're all waiting to see what's going to come of that suspicion. Apparently, interestingly enough, she was very heavily involved in far-right extremist social media, and she's part of a group called the Family American Project that was founded in January 2018, and she's moderator, according to Wikipedia, of the organization's Facebook group, which includes death threats against Democrats, bigotry directed at the Obamas at the time, support for multiple conspiracy theories, and claims associated with the John Birch Society of the U.S. being infiltrated by communists. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is continually, like Donald Trump, being a lightning rod for QAnon craziness, and like Lauren Boebert and other Congress people who are extreme gun advocates, challenging the rule that you can't carry guns into Congress. She's also anti-vaccination, anti-mask wearing. So she has this trajectory. I think she's highly ambitious, and probably in her narcissistic mind thinks she could be president. So Ilse Koch was born September 22nd, 2016. She was the daughter of a former military commander. She apparently had a normal childhood, went to school to become an accountant, joined the Nazi Party, I think in 1936, met her husband, Karl Otto Koch. At some point, they moved to Buchenwald concentration camp, and he was eventually made a commandant. And they got in big time trouble for embezzlement. They would take the valuables of Jewish prisoners. They made their fortune out of doing that. And then this was the problem was, it wasn't that they stole the money, because everybody's doing that. I mean, Jews were not considered to be humans, really. When they were sent to the concentration camps, that was it. They were just there to work, and then they were executed. They were thrown into, gas chambers and things like that. But apparently this was the problem. When they commandeered the valuables, they did not share them with the higher ups. They didn't report what they had garnered, and that was the problem. Her husband, Karl, apparently was sent to a prison camp himself, and then he was executed by the SS. But she didn't experience or suffer the same fate. She did end up in court, and she eventually, and she did serve a couple years. But then, for lack of evidence, she got off, and then the Americans later on arrested her, and then she did serve time in a work camp. Eventually, she committed suicide in 1967. So going back to the time when she was in Buchenwald, one of the things she was notorious for was being hypersexual. She would walk around in scanty clothes or even naked, ride a horse. She loved horses. She actually had an arena for her horses built in the confines of her residence. So if any of the prisoners noticed her at all, she thought that they did, then they were dead meat. Literally, she would have them executed. And she enjoyed doing that. So it was very perverse and sadistic. I read that she had affairs with 2 SS officers. She also, when she was in prison awaiting trial, she got pregnant by a German prisoner there. And she had a child in prison. She's an interesting character. She's very psychopathic, and her evil is unfathomable. And there's much more that she did. I don't want to get into it, actually, because it's too grotesque. But if you want to research her, if you're interested or you want more information, go ahead and Google Ilse Koch. Another interesting thing, and that kind of connects Marjorie Taylor Greene with Ilse, is that Marjorie Taylor Greene, in her work with the Family America Project, she would espouse theories from the John Birch Society, right? While Ilse Koch was the niece, sorry. Now Ilse Koch was the aunt of the Koch brothers, is it Charles and David Koch, and their father, Fred Koch. He had oil refineries in Nazi Germany, and he fueled German planes. He had a very close relationship with the Third Reich and with Adolf Hitler. And that money, that fortune, is the fortune that the Koch brothers industry is founded on. And Fred Koch founded the John Birch Society. And the Koch brothers are extremely anti-Semitic, libertarian, supporters of far-right extremism and Nazi, I want to say theology, but it's not theology, but the Nazi beliefs, allegedly. If anybody comes for me, you can do it, but there's a lot of research on it. These are things that I read in many places, and the Koch brothers to this day are huge supporters of the Republican right-wing craziness. Behind it all is the supremacy of the oil industry. Think Greg Abbott in Texas, and any other politicians that are supporting oil industry, and Putin too. And this is where it's taken us, to end all, democracy and all regulation for industry, and let the rich get rich and the poor just suffer. So here's the actual tarot reading for Ilse and Marjorie. And these cards were given to me by my guide psychically. I'm using the Cyril Marchetti Gilded Tarot. I'm using a Celtic layout, a Celtic cross layout, and it starts with the subject card. So the card that my guides gave me for both of them is the Devil. They come from this evil, evil place. This is the card of the narcissist. This is the card of somebody who's completely self-involved and wanting to bring on chaos, discord, and suffering. Above is the Five of Swords. And again, this is very similar to this card. It's gaining your victory on the suffering of others. You're going to be the vanguard of an evil cause, like Ilse Koch and the Nazis, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the QAnon, white wing supremacists, Ku Klux Klan. And that's what she's currently doing right now. She's out there speaking her truth, quote unquote. Miss QAnon. In the past, Five of Wands. I was curious about this card. My guide said both of these women, Ilse Koch and Marjorie Taylor Greene, were known for their tendency to bring on chaos, to bring on infighting, to bring on a divide between people. They thrive in chaos. Ilse Koch, until her dying day, this was her legacy. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing the same thing right now. She's tearing the Republican Party apart. And I swear, even if it solidified into, let's say, the Trump Party or the Patriot Party, she would tear that apart. That is her nature, and that is very much the mark of a malignant narcissist, because it's the way they always stay in control and dominance. Everybody's, just like Trump did, had to have everybody fighting amongst themselves. And also this is, the Nazis against the Jews or against the Americans and the English. And this is Marjorie Taylor Greene wanting the Republicans against the Democrats, and the Caucasians against Caucasian Americans against African Americans, and Asians, and so forth. This is what Ilse Koch died being known as the generator of this kind of thing, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is continuing that legacy, according to my guides. Below is the Tower. This is Ilse Koch involved in assisting with the Nazi agenda which is war and world domination and the destruction of free societies, democratic societies. And also, if you can think of a concentration camp, that's a pretty good card for a concentration camp, huh? And then Marjorie Taylor Greene supporting the January 6th insurrection, which she did, even if she claims outwardly that she doesn't support violence. We've seen enough of her incendiary rhetoric regarding the big lie and patriots and the use of the Second Amendment and all that, that she did outwardly support the insurrection, and she's still supporting insurrection. In the near future, my guides gave me the Ten of Swords, so this is a downfall for her. All the swords are coming down here, and she's defeated. And I believe this has to do with FBI investigations. And it may not just be the insurrection, but it may be that she's caught up in some other illegality. But she seems to be somebody who's so reckless that without the protection of somebody like Trump, let's say Trump gets weaker and all of these things start losing their steam regarding this fantasy somehow, the takeover, that Donald Trump, according to Q, is still president, is going to be outwardly president in August, and there's this insurrection that's still coming. None of this is panning out for her, and she is falling under her own karma. Live by the sword, die by the sword. I don't think this is literally true, but in some way, she is her own downfall here, and it's pretty complete. So the Ten of Swords for Ilse Koch, she died by suicide. She was completely defeated. The clarifying cards for Ilse Koch and Marjorie Taylor Greene, there were two of them. This is an Ten of Swords, so this is both of them soldiers on an aggressive attack for their Führer, striking out, hitting out, causing injury, accusatory, and impulsive. Also Queen of Wands. And this is their hypersexuality, both Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ilse Koch having that kind of promiscuity about them, allegedly. I don't want to get in trouble here, but using their feminine wiles to gain power and to have dominance and control, and feeling like they're these queens that can really have anything they want and bend anybody to their will, whilst it be by, or whether it be by sheer magnetism, sheer sexual magnetism, or by their own positions of power. Either way. And the final card here is the Eight of Swords. My guides say this is imprisonment. So Ilse Koch, she ended her life as a prisoner. And they're saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene very well may end up in prison too. So there's my rabbit hole. My reading on Marjorie Taylor Greene as a possible reincarnation of Ilse Koch. Let me know what you think. I will now read us our oracle card. And again, I love this deck so much, and my guides agreed we could have another card from here. Sacred Destiny by Denise Lynn. So the card that the guides chose for you is Blessings. The sacred landscape wants you to know immense blessings are emerging into your life from those in spirit. Angels, guides, and spirit guardians are watching over you. Angelic intervention is available to you. Be open to the voice of the divine. Messages are all around you. You are protected. You are safe. Have faith that your path is guided. Watch for signs that spiritual beings are present. Profound healing energy is flowing to you in wondrous ways. Refreshing, replenishing energy is filling your life. At this point, I always let people know I am available for personal readings. I read anything in the past life, anything including past and present in the present life. I'd love to introduce you to your guardian angels, and I am a medium. My contact information is in the description box below and also at the end of the musical interlude. Please like, subscribe, and share my channel. It really helps me out, and it gives a wider distribution where people can see it, and I can reach more people that way. I love you. I hope you're well wherever you are. And I will be back next week. My love to you all, okay? Take care. Bye.